Everything is fucked right now, and Bitcoin has actually managed to fall all the way down to $91,000. So we're going to be breaking down what this means. We've already started a little bit of a recovery right now. Ethereum has fallen off a cliff down to my major zone of support that I've been outlining since so long. I didn't think we would actually reach here, but here we are. We're still kind of down there. Bitcoin's dominance is above 62%. It actually managed to get up to 64, which is the highest point we've seen for Bitcoin's dominance since... Let's actually take a look. The highest point we've seen for Bitcoin's dominance since about March of 2021. So going back literally 4 years. Holy shit, that is quite massive. And we're just going to be assessing the damage in this YouTube video today, ladies and gents. I'm going to be covering with you what I'm seeing, where I think this could be going, what could be happening here. Apologies for all the blue. I'll deal with that later on. But if we do bring it on to the video, the very first thing that I want to mention to you guys is that those of you who've taken advantage of the links in the description have a ton of free cash to take advantage of the moves in this market right now. And if you haven't done so already, these links are still available. When you start trading, when you make your first deposit and start trading using these links in the description, you're going to get a ton of free cash in your account that you can trade with, and any profits that you generate are going to be yours to keep. Check them out if you're not from a restricted region. But bringing it back to the video here, if we do take a look at just the damage that's been happening in the market and just kind of the dollar as well, I think the narrative is pretty clear that this is all happening in response to the trade tariffs that Donald Trump has been introducing to Canada, Mexico, and China as well over here in his, I think it's second week of his term now. And just my initial thoughts, because I know that a lot of you are going to be curious, just before I get into like all of the analysis, what are we actually looking at? Obviously this is no big deal. Obviously this is really nothing scary at all. You and I have been prepared for this for a very long time, right? I've come on quite a few YouTube videos in the last weeks and said that this is what might happen, specifically even falling down to these price levels that we're at. So, those of you that have been subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're not going to be among the fools that were caught with their pants down. Yeah, that's what Warren Buffett likes to say, is that when the tide goes out, you see who is swimming naked in the water. Yeah, it's another way of saying that when the markets get fucked like this, you can suddenly tell who is prepared and who is watching, a channel like Four Flies right here versus who was, just balls deep in coins that they shouldn't have been in because their dumb YouTube guru told them to do so and whatever. So you're really going to be seeing the difference today, ladies and gents, and this is your home if you appreciate realistic, grounded analysis where shit like this, quite frankly, doesn't take us by surprise. If you are not surprised by this, let me know in the comment section. Tell me I'm not surprised. I don't think you should be surprised if you've been watching this channel, but let's get into a little bit more of the analysis here. Because we are seeing another consecutive bounce off this level, I think that if Bitcoin is able to kind of come back down to this level, it's not going to be looking good. So far, every single kind of attempt at this support level has kind of been resolved within 24 hours. These are kind of two of the longest ones, and even then we're kind of getting out of this range within a day. And so I have tolerance for Bitcoin to mess around here for up to 1 day. If Bitcoin kind of ends up going a little bit sideways and just kind of doing its thing over here, maybe even coming back down to support, I will tolerate 24 hours down here. I won't tolerate more. If we get more than 24 hours here, it's not that I will tolerate more. If we get more than 24 hours kind of at these low levels, I'm just going to start expecting that we break the support level, okay? And if we break the support level, very high level overview, obviously there's no support that Bitcoin has ever established, between this level 90K and this level 70K. We're looking at Bitcoin's entire price history going back to 2016, and the only trading that Bitcoin ever had between 70K and 90K happened right here. And obviously, as we understand with very, very basic technical theory, if you don't establish resistance on the way up, you cannot establish support on the way down. Or more importantly, more accurately, you cannot expect support on the way down. Yeah, we can find support or resistance anywhere, but you can't expect it there. And so this makes a very, very big drop start looking like it could be possible. Obviously, again, like I said, this is because we didn't establish resistance on the way up, so we just have nothing that can kind of catch us on the way down. This is a nice big sideways range here, this kind of 72 down to 67 range. I think it's a great range for Bitcoin. It's the range that I've wanted to see Bitcoin fall into for quite some time. That's going to be a 33% drop from the all-time high, and down to 67, that's a a 38% drop from the all-time high, which are very, very healthy levels for this market to correct down to. So I would actually definitely be welcoming that here. Let me deal with that blue for you guys a little bit, because I know that that's really annoying, but that's kind of what that's what I'd be kind of looking out for in terms of a maximum size correction for Bitcoin. I think anything lower than 67, and we kind of have to start asking if this bull market is still even going. But I wouldn't be worried about that. You guys know me very well. I've been bullish since we were down here. I've been telling you guys that I think we're going to be going much higher. So I'm kind of I'm pretty good at sticking to my word there and putting my money where my mouth is. You guys already know the deal. You've seen all of that beautiful stuff. But that's what I'm looking at there. I think that this kind of range could be a really, really nice juicy spot for Bitcoin to kind of bottom out at. Do I think we're going to get there? No, not necessarily. We obviously just have to see how we respond to this. And we also have to see other things that I think are a little bit more basic, like just the fear and greed index, right? If we take a look at the fear and greed index, let me see if I can... I don't have the tab open anymore, I don't think, so I can't show it to you. But oh yeah, here it is. I've just lost it. But if we do take a look at the fear and greed index, that's going to be potentially telling us a little bit about, look at that. We've got a reading of 44, and this updated just a couple of hours ago, and that's, I think, really telling us a lot about sentiment resetting here. And what's beautiful, ladies and gents, is, the first time that Bitcoin ever hit 90K, it was roughly the middle of November. And if we take a look at this fear and greed index in the middle of November, we were sky fucking high. We were at 83, 90, 80. Like, we had very, very high. We had some of the highest readings ever, 94, throughout November. And now we're at the same price level again, but we're in neutral territory. And that, is a really, really strong representation of sentiment resetting. Yeah, we're at the same damn price level, but people feel shit about it, whereas previously they felt basically all-time high levels of euphoria at this level previously. Yeah, so really, really important stuff. This is exactly what you and I look for. If you've watched my most recent videos, you're going to remember that what I'm saying is when people start absolutely hating the market and speaking about it with such anger and distaste and distrust, when people abuse the market, they use the market as their verbal punching bag, whatever the case may be, that is when I'm going to be starting to get interested in buying up some things in the market. So we're going to come back to Bitcoin in just a second, because I do have a lot more analysis to cover with you here. But before we carry on, I have to look at Bitcoin's dominance. I mean, Bitcoin has officially broken its dominance resistance here. I cannot begin to explain how perfectly we've been calling every single fucking move on this chart, like every single one. Even for Bitcoin, we've been calling it very, very well on this YouTube channel. The only thing I can do is just say that if you were here, throughout all of that, then you're going to know a lot about how accurate we've been. But if you missed it, if perhaps you weren't subscribed or you didn't know about it, I don't intend on stopping with this fantastic analysis, so don't you worry about that. We are headed up to that 70% level for Bitcoin's dominance. There's really not much resistance kind of stopping us from getting there. I don't really look at this chart for resistance or support other than the really obvious key levels. So anything that's a little bit more kind of in between 60 and 70 to me is not that important. However, I do think that, there's a really strong chance that Bitcoin can go there, because as we've seen, across time, and I've made this point to you guys a lot, we've got a rising Bitcoin dominance if Bitcoin falls, right? Bitcoin is falling today and Bitcoin's dominance is going up. But alternatively, if Bitcoin goes up, we still see Bitcoin's dominance going up. So it's a lose-lose situation for anybody in altcoins, and we've known this for a very long time. I was telling you guys about my thoughts on Ethereum, which is now down to 0.26 BTC per token. And again, just absolutely historic price levels. I mean, we haven't seen these price levels since January of 2021 here against Bitcoin. That's 1,500 days ago, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's a really, really good, strong market reset here. I am not of the opinion that Ethereum is dead or dying. I am perhaps a little bit concerned that Vitalik is now trying to develop a dating life. Maybe there's something there that we need to be concerned about. But serious, on a very serious note, I don't think Ethereum's going anywhere. I think this is a really healthy market reset, kind of, from everything I'm seeing so far. And with that in mind, this is just a really fucking cheap opportunity to buy. And this is going to get validated again by looking at things like the Fear and Greed Index and just kind of looking at Twitter and kind of seeing how people are talking about these markets. That's going to shed a lot of light for us on if we're actually at a bottom, or, if this is going to be something a little bit more temporary. But, I mean, just absolute carnage here. Take a look at Trump right here. If we kind of zoom in, it's really, I mean, look at this. It's just dying. It's really not in a good place. Every shitcoin you can think of, Doge, which I was very bullish on, has fallen very hard down to its next level of support. I bought up here, so obviously, that didn't work out well for me, minus 36%. I'm only glad that I exercised good risk management, so that didn't kind of wipe me out or whatever. I know that a lot of people actually went all in on their coins, by comparison. Here's Binance Coin, a very, very, very strong coin in the market overall. Now basically dropping down into the crypto abyss. Shout out to Crypto Kirby. Where the fuck are you, bro? We need you right now. But we've got we've got a very, very nice drop here, for Binance against Bitcoin. And, I mean, it's very hard to say where this could stop. We've got a little bit of a support level right here. And obviously, this is going to be dropping down a little bit lower, down to its next kind of big areas of consolidation. Is it going to go down there? I don't know. Not necessarily, but it's definitely not looking good right now. Here is Binance against the dollar, now dropping back into this range with all of this looking like a fake out here. So, that actually puts some of our previous, and this is what's really interesting, this is actually going to start putting some of our previous kind of trend lines back in play where, previously you might have been expecting an ascending triangle perhaps, and now all of a sudden we can actually start talking about those kind of things again. So this is huge. We've got XRP. I saw the funniest tweet of today, the guy that won the internet, basically saying that this is like nuclear war for taxi drivers. XRP down by 35%. Obviously it's seeing the same kind of bloodbath as everything else, but it's XRP, so it's liable to fall a lot harder than everything else. So is this going to keep on falling? I don't know. It's obviously hard to say. It's clearly found a little bit of stability, at this $2.23 price level. However, its best zone of support that I'm seeing is going to be down here at $1.40. It didn't get there today. It's not even there right now, not even close. So, I don't know. I don't know is the answer. But here's Pepe down by another 17%. I mean, meme coins are really, really struggling today. This is what we see, right? Is when people actually get scared in the market. When things are good and the sun is shining, okay, we can talk about meme coins and it's fun and, everybody feels like a fucking genius for being inside of the meme coins, right? And that's just kind of how it goes. And I'm not surprised or, necessarily even commenting much about it. But, I think one thing that, we fail to understand is that on the flip side, when the market is no longer excited, when the market is no longer happy, and actually when the market is fearful, these are the first coins to get dropped because they're the most bullshit coins in the market, right? I mean, we can, the story is incredibly clear. If you look at the right-hand side here, just looking at the percent change, I mean, Bitcoin down by -3, Ethereum down by -12, Pepe down by -17, WIF down by minus fucking 26. My God. Do you see what I mean? And so, these are the coins that get dropped really, really quickly. And it's brutal, man. I mean, what can I say, right? You got so many people where it's their first experience in the markets, like potentially ever, and they just end up buying these shit coins because, look, it was working for the last like 6 months. But, a time like now comes and you just wish down to the deepest part of your core in your body that you knew about the Four Flies channel warning you that shit like this is stupid, and actually Bitcoin's dominance has been poised to rise for a while. And that's why I was telling you that I'm not going to be positioning in altcoins, other than the little dabbles, other than the little kind of dabbling in and out that I kind of did, I really wouldn't be doing anything serious in the altcoin market, because I'm expecting Bitcoin to continue to gain strength in this market relative to everything else. And, unfortunately, most people don't learn things like this, even if they do watch a channel like Four Flies. because they need to suffer it themselves. They need to see it themselves. The catch is that, you know, now you're down 30%, 50%, 60% from the all-time highs, and it's just very hard to pick yourself up for the next kind of step, and that's where I think this becomes even more dangerous, right? Again, like I said, super grounded, realistic analysis on this channel. We're talking about the shit that other YouTubers wouldn't know about because they don't actually trade. Quite frankly, they just get paid shitloads of money for lying to you, you know. But right here, where we're keeping it real. You know, the next thing that I've got to remind you guys about, ladies and gents, is that, you know, the next thing that happens in these markets typically is that we end up seeing, you know, another leg, right? Whether that's a leg down or a leg up, I don't know. Typically, it's another leg down. And if it is another leg down, I mean, you know, it just makes it even harder to, you know, make a decision. And especially given that this next leg down for Bitcoin could end up taking it down to kind of 70K. I'm not saying that that's going to happen or that that's going to happen anytime soon. But if it did happen, you know, the pain that you're feeling on this drop here, especially if you're in altcoins, that pain is going to get a hell of a lot worse. You know, if Bitcoin does end up kind of, it would put Bitcoin firmly at 70%, right? I mean, Bitcoin already today jumped from, you know, I mean, it opened right here at 60.7 and it managed to get all the way up to 64.3. So we're talking about nearly 4 entire percentage points up, which is absolutely insane, like basically unheard of, really. And you know, if Bitcoin were to fall down to 70, that would happen even faster, and I think it would be even more extreme. So, you know, really a very, very pivotal point in the market. Does it mean it's time to get out? No, you know, not necessarily, right? You're going to have to make your own decisions. I think that a lot of people are actually going to be interested in buying coins at this time because, I mean, look at the sentiment right now, right? Like, it's obviously not a bad time to be buying coins if you've been sidelined with cash for this entire time because you're seeing much lower price levels than what you saw previously. Are you going to see better price levels than this? I think so, yeah. I especially for altcoins, I think so, yeah. You know, especially against Bitcoin. Yes, I firmly believe so. However, does that mean that it's not time to start buying right now anyway? No, not necessarily, right? Because we're talking about dollar cost averaging, right? Dollar cost averaging is always going to be the best strategy for most people in the markets, and that just means a little bit of exposure every day, and that tends to work out really well. Now, am I buying personally? No. I think after seeing this drop and the fact that Ethereum actually dropped below my box, which is, you know, just absolutely crazy to me, I am not expecting it to stop here. I don't know where the next level of support is. I guess it's probably looking like somewhere around here, but I mean, this is low. I mean, I don't know, man. If it, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what to say at that point if it kind of gets there. I can tolerate this as like an extreme bottom, but I mean, is it the bottom? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are we done? You know, this whole trade war debacle basically kicked off a couple of days ago, and you know, now depending on your time zone, I mean, you know, America's not even in Monday yet. When the stock market opens, you know, you're going to be seeing potentially, you know, waves, seas of red, you know, in the S&P 500 and so on, just as a kind of initial reaction to the trade war stuff. You know, but I want to level with you guys for a minute, you know, because we haven't fully gotten into the Bitcoin analysis yet. This is obviously a big video, so bear with me, but this is exactly what I know you guys love. And obviously, like I said, huge opportunities in this market right now. If you haven't already taken advantage of the links in the description, these are super powerful exchanges with amazing offers, well worth checking out. All you've got to do is start trading using these links to get free cash, and again, that cash is going to be yours to trade with. You can do anything you want with it, and if you make any profits, you can withdraw them. So check it out. Blowfin is a great alternative to Bybit, which is undoubtedly the best in the game, but obviously only check them out if you're not from a restricted region, if your local laws and regulations allow you to do so. But you know, one thing I want to kind of really kind of get out before I you know, go deeper into the Bitcoin analysis here is my thoughts on the Trump tariffs. And you know, I'm not an economist, I'm not a politician, but I'll tell you what, I've been talking a little bit about this stuff on this YouTube channel for the last few months, and we've been right about everything. Yeah, we've been right about everything that we've been talking about. And you know, my opinions on these tariffs are very, very straightforward. You know, number one, I think that the market reaction is grossly overhyped, and actually, you know, what we tend to do on this YouTube channel is understand what the markets are looking like, without news articles and by detaching ourselves from the present day. Yeah. So let me describe to you what I mean here, because this is almost more of a thought experiment, and I'm serious. Close your eyes for me if you can, if you're not driving or whatever. Just stay with me here for a second. I want you to visualize this with me. This is the job of a trader. You'll read this in books if you start reading books about trading. This is how it goes. And what you need to do, close your eyes with me here, is you need to imagine what the market looks like, in 2026, 2027, or better yet, without a date attached. But you're analyzing February 2025 right now. And what you need to look at, quite simply, is fuck Trump, fuck any other news headline that's in the in the media right now, fuck whatever you're seeing on Twitter. What I want you to just focus on, looking at the S&P 500 in your mind, or if you need to open your eyes now to pull up the chart, feel free. Nvidia, yeah, looking at Apple, looking at the bigger tech companies, looking at, right here. Feel free to open if you want to take a look at the total the global ranking of assets, or I'll read the numbers for you, of course, if you prefer to stay a little bit more relaxed here. Apple worth 3.4. Let me refresh this. Hang on. Apple worth $3.5 trillion, Microsoft worth 3 trillion, Nvidia worth 3 trillion, Google worth 2.5, Amazon worth 2.5. I mean, Saudi Aramco is worth 1.8, gold is worth 1.8. These numbers have reached very, very high levels, and I'm not saying that they're not deserving of these levels, but what I am saying is that perhaps with your visualization of how extreme these real world stocks have become and other real world assets have become, property, for example, and so on, if we just ask as a simple question, do these markets look like they're overstretched? Do they look like they've gone a little bit too far? I think most of you are going to agree with me and say, yes, they do. Bitcoin, maybe not included. I would not include Bitcoin in that whatsoever, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But other altcoins, 100%. Stocks, 100%. Indices, 100%, right? I think I'm going to be seeing a lot of agreement on that. So come back and open your eyes with me here, and let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Let me tell you why I don't think Bitcoin's part of that. And it's because if we actually, it's a really, really interesting comparison we can do right here, actually. Let's go ahead and take a look at the BLX chart right here, which gives us a lot of price history on Bitcoin. And then what I want to do is I actually want to go ahead and throw the S&P 500 on top. And we're going to see something really interesting, okay? What we're going to see, if I hide the S&P chart right now, is the FTX crash, okay? The FTX crash was basically right around here, right? This was more or less where it was probably a couple of days earlier, right? I remember it was maybe like this, where the FTX whole thing kind of happened. And Bitcoin, kind of sunk into a bear market for, quite some time at this point, especially considering, where the stock markets were. This was 60 days of sideways down in the teens for Bitcoin, which was, quite, uncomfortable, coming from just 70K. But if we take a look at the S&P 500 at the same time, it's a very, very different chart, right? Take a look at this. It's so interesting, ladies and gents. You're really going to understand what I'm talking about here. Bitcoin, let's start with the S&P 500. Actually, let me just move this up. The S&P 500, when the FTX bullshit happened, did drop. However, it recovered afterwards, and then it continued to set higher lows and higher highs, and it continued to trend up while Bitcoin remained suffocated. This is a really, really big deal, ladies and gents. I really want you guys to see this with me here. The S&P 500 continued. Look at this. Let me move this. Let me move this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The S&P 500 continued moving up while Bitcoin continued going sideways. Or on this occasion, while Bitcoin was down, the S&P 500 was enjoying an uptrend, right? So the S&P 500 has actually had a lot more uptrend time than Bitcoin. The stock markets have had a lot more time trending up than crypto. Now, does this mean that crypto is going to stay, detached, and it's not actually gonna kind of suffer if the stock markets suffer? No, not necessarily, right? I mean, crypto typically is gonna suffer if stock markets are suffering, but I mean, to what extent, right? I mean, if I start, again, this is my point, is that if I start seeing people talking about how Bitcoin is dead or Ethereum is dead or whatever, but I also have the knowledge that these ETFs have been created now, and we've got really large institutional money already in and continuing to enter, But then I see that retail is shitting themselves over a fucking presidential executive order, out of all things. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of a more typical cookie cutter obvious thing to scare investors, to scare retail, right? Trump signing a fucking paper. Of course. Do you know what I mean? Like, the story writes itself. To me, it just looks like Bitcoin is in a better position than the other markets we're looking at. Am I wrong? I don't know, maybe. But does it really matter? No, because even if I am wrong and we're heading significantly lower, we're still in an amazing uptrend, and you really can't shake this, right? Like, you really can't make this a bad chart unless probably you lose, support over here. It would probably start looking pretty ugly if you kind of lose like 56 or whatever. That wouldn't be great, but we've still got 30, which remains a god tier level of support and completely untested. The last time that we tested this level of support was actually way back in January of 2022. So, really a lot on this chart, I think, that makes it very, very interesting. And then, just again, back to the kind of Trump tariff situation and the fact that these markets are dropping because of that. I don't actually think it's Trump at all. I don't think it's ever any president. I think that this is just a really convenient excuse for people who are a little bit weary of the market. Because you got to keep in mind, I want you to level with me here. Those of you that are trading with larger sums of money, you're going to understand this very well. But those of you who aren't, and I'm talking about anybody with less than $1 million in the markets, let's say. Those of you who aren't trading with large sums of money, you're looking at like in and out quickly. I want to turn 100 into 1,000 type shit, or just like aggressive, right? But when you start trading with larger sums of money, you're really slow in your decision making. And so what happens is, unless you're like super autistic and you make a lot of money in crypto, right? But you're probably not even watching this channel. You're making way more money than me if you're like that. But if you're more of a normal investor, myself, my friends, people that I know, people that I've studied, just normal investor that's got a larger amount of money in the market, the way you are going to make decisions is going to be a lot slower. And it's going to be this factor gets a little bit bigger, a little bit more powerful. It gets coupled with this factor, and now this factor's thrown in the mix as well, and now these two factors are becoming a little bit more significant, and then you decide to pull out 10% of your capital, 5% of your capital, 25% of your capital, stuff like that, right? It's not the same as somebody with a $5,000 account, just selling all of his XRP because he's scared. It really doesn't work like that at the larger bankroll levels, and the reason that that's important is that those people, like I said, they're looking for factor A, factor B, factor C, factor D, and Trump's trade tariffs were one of those factors. And so what it does is all of those other reasons for the market to drop, the fact that the S&P 500 is overextended, the fact that Nvidia is perhaps overstretched as well, and so on and so forth, all of these things suddenly start becoming a lot more relevant because now you've initiated a drop. And now we've got this veil that everybody was viewing these markets with. That veil is being lifted. You're seeing the ugly bride underneath, and you're like, holy shit, I shouldn't have been born Indian and have this fucking arranged marriage, or more accurately in these markets, I shouldn't be so balls deep in these shit coins or in Nvidia stock or wherever it might be. Retail gets punished, ladies and gents. I don't know why we're forgetting this. We're acting like retail is God and it's going to make more money than, the big guys that always make money and that run the world. Hell no, obviously not. I'm not going to believe some bullshit like that. You can do it if it serves you, but certainly, not my type of thing. So I'm going to be looking at these markets very realistically, and again, it's if I'm seeing everybody getting really, and again, it's happening right now while we're at the support level as well for Bitcoin. Like I said, we'll come back to this Bitcoin thing in just a sec. But this trade tariff thing, I don't see it. I don't know how it's going to work out politically and economically. On balance, overall. What does America buy from Canada? What does America buy from Mexico? I've seen senators or whatever trying to say that America buys ice cream from Mexico. You know what I mean? And it's just ridiculous, right? Like on a very real level, it might actually mean that Americans stop buying stuff from Mexico or stop buying stuff from Canada. But the idea that there's no American alternative for even slightly more money to the point where it's really not that bad, it doesn't make anywhere near as big of a difference as people are making out. The likelihood of that happening is much, much higher. And the likelihood of that spurring more economic growth on the mainland in the United States, of course, Alaska and Hawaii too, just the fact fact that more people may end up doing business with each other in America, you know, it's got its upsides. And I think the bottom line here is that the markets are just using these as an excuse to kind of drop here. Yeah. So whether I'm right or wrong about these political or economic ideas doesn't really matter, because these markets are just using it as an excuse to pull back, shake out a little bit, buy back at lower levels, shake out some impatient hands. And that's basically how it goes. Let's bring it back to the Bitcoin analysis. And I think what I want to focus on right here is, you know, the fact that we've got, you know, a very, very nice sideways range here between 90 and 100. You know, the chance of Bitcoin hitting 100 is not zero to me. You know, I definitely think that it's possible that Bitcoin might kind of, you know, make its way back up there. And that kind of puts this range back in play, which, you know, kind of just, you know, means the same thing that we saw back here. And of course, the same thing that we saw back here potentially happening again. So is that going to happen? I don't know. But you know, obviously we haven't broken the range yet, so it's definitely probable. I do want to say that, you know, I mean, fake out 1, fake out 2, you kind of have to expect fake out 3. That's concerning because fake out 3 can just turn into a big dump. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't think that it's, you know, super obvious one way or the other, but I did want to point out to you that, you know, we are dealing with now, you know, a very, very strong argument for testing the downside. And, you know, that actually might make it interesting to kind of, you know, look at exiting positions on a bounce or whatever, right? Because I think that's what, you know, a lot of people are probably going to be looking at a little bit. Here's Solana. It's made its way down to the major zone of support that I mentioned in, I think, yesterday's video. So that's pretty cool. You know, is that, you know, going to be a big deal for Solana? I don't know. I think obviously it depends on Bitcoin, so, you know, it doesn't really matter. But Solana against Bitcoin matters, and Solana against Bitcoin is really at the same place that it was in the middle of January, which is the same place it was at the end of December. So Solana against Bitcoin is looking pretty good, man. It's looking pretty good. It's still definitely not shaking too much. Could that change? We will see. But yeah, Ethereum, you know, is certainly taking a little bit of a beating. But we're going to come back with all of this stuff as the market continues to develop. Like I said, if we get to 100, you know, that would be interesting. I do want to cover the upside potential. Obviously, breaking 100 puts us at 108, 106, whatever for the next zone of resistance. I would expect we just break straight through it because it would be really weird if we even got above 100. So probably something crazy has happened and we're just getting absolutely manipulated. It would be crazy, the idea that we are getting absolutely manipulated now that the White House is so closely tied to crypto. But, you know, at the same time, Trump coins exists. So I really don't know what the hell to say, to be quite honest with you guys. But yeah, there you go. Very, very interesting market right now. A very long video. Where are we at? This is 33 minutes. I think my best videos have been, you know, 30 minutes plus. If you've enjoyed this one, do me a favor and smash up those likes. Double check that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. You've got phenomenal links to great offers linked in the description down below. Only check them out if you're not, of course, from a restricted region. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, of course, as this market continues to develop, as we continue to see things developing in this market, we're going to be right here. So make sure you've got that bell icon checked, and I'll be uploading more videos for you guys and so on. Final note to the last few listeners. The Four Flies brand is actually hiring for another video guy like me. So if you want to be on this channel and present, then reach out, and that would be very, very cool. All right, take it easy. Cheers.